the future of the Southern Wake landfill. Today, the Board of Commissioners discussed their options and what it could mean for people in the area.
Crisp fall air returns. How long we'll have this beautiful weather, and who could feel lows in the 40s tomorrow morning?
UNC is betting big on Bill Belichick. Millions are pouring in, but where's it all really going? We visit Murph's Turf to follow the football money trail.
Let's start with a live look outside the Crabtree Marriott in Raleigh. A group of people there are rallying, say they are against an event being held there tonight.
So it's hosted by the American Renewal Project. This is a group encouraging Christian-based leaders to then run for office. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. A handful of politicians were there to speak, including Michael Whatley. This guy, he's seeking the Republican nomination to fill Tom Tillis's Senate seat. WRAL's Eric Miller is live outside the event. Eric, still a few people there now.
Ashley, these protesters have been out here for more than an hour at this point, a much smaller crowd now. The event itself is happening about 100 yards away over there at the Marriott. Our cameras aren't allowed inside, but organizers bill the event as an opportunity to try to convince pastors to take more of the political center stage, even run for office. But for critics, those goals amount to Christian nationalism.
It's a clear divide these protesters see in black and white. Monday, roughly 70 protesters from various groups lined Raleigh's Creedmoor Road, aiming to uphold the separation of church and state.
Religion in our beautiful country, you should have the freedom to practice any religion or no religion, and that part of the government's job is to protect those freedoms.
In his speech inside this Marriott, Michael Whatley, candidate for the Republican nomination for Senate here in North Carolina, said, "We don't need separation of faith and politics. We don't need separation of church and state." Whatley's comments came during the American Renewal Project's latest Pastor Summit. The event is billed as a chance for pastors to network and comes with a list of prominent Republicans who've made faith a key part of their brand. On its website, the project says its mission is to inspire the American church to embrace its role in the public square. But these protesters argue that role can't come at the expense of other people and other faiths.
If you are espousing to one particular belief, you're leaving out so many people. You're leaving out the spectrum of belief in the United States, which makes it incredible.
And we reached out to both Whatley as well as the organizers of this conference for comment. Neither group wanted to go on camera or share a statement with us this evening. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
All right, Eric, Brian Schrader here in the WRAL Live Center, and all new at 7 o'clock right now. The town of Tarborough's town council is getting ready to start their meeting, and they're going to be talking about a big data center proposal. This is video out there on Anaconda Road, where Energy Storage Solutions wants to build a 50-acre data center over the next several years. But some people in Tarboro want town leaders to say no to the project because they're worried about noise, air quality, and water usage. The town council meeting tonight has a public hearing scheduled to talk about all of this. We're going to be monitoring it here in the WRAL newsroom. Look for updates on our news tonight at 10 and 11.
You can smell it through the AC. That is the quote of the day from a woman who lives close to the South Wake landfill. She's one of the many people in that area complaining that it stinks, that it smells downright terrible out there. And it kind of makes sense, right? Just take a look at all the garbage. Garbage smells. Well, today the County Board of Commissioners talked about the future of this landfill, some of the ideas to reduce that smell, and what happens when this thing fills up. WRAL's Willie Danley walks us through some of the options.
According to the solid waste team and consultants, landfills have been the cornerstone of waste disposal in North Carolina for decades. Now that the South Wake landfill is nearly full, they have the opportunity to come up with new options. The South Wake landfill is expected to reach capacity between 2040 and 2045. Solid Waste Director John Robertson says now is the time to figure out what's next.
Designing, permitting, constructing a future disposal facility, whether it's a landfill or a waste to energy type facility, will take at least a decade.
The solid waste team and consultants have come up with 4 options that they presented to the Board of Commissioners. Option 1 would be to construct a new landfill. Option 2 would haul waste out of the county and dispose of it elsewhere. Option 3 would construct a privately owned waste energy facility, and Option 4 would involve the county looking into alternative disposal technology. People living nearby tell WRAL the smell from the landfill can be overwhelming, and they hope whichever option the commissioners pick will be less potent.
It basically smells like you're just standing out by the garbage. I literally this morning on the way to school, me and my sister were talking about because we came out and it smelled really bad.
In the next few months, the solid waste team plans to get feedback from people in the area who will be impacted by the decision.
We're going to cover the gamut, whether it's social media, whether it's in-person or virtual meetings and public sessions, surveys, and just looking for people to share their thoughts and comments based upon the information that we can present about this initial part of the study.
Today's work session was to outline the next steps in the decision process. Now the solid waste team will begin to get feedback from stakeholders and then communities before returning to stand in front of the Board of Commissioners again in January. Willie Danley, WRAL News in Wake County.
All right, thank you to Willie. It is an important topic, whether you can smell it or not. And all of it reminded me that, oh yeah, that's what we do with our trash. You know, as brilliant as we are, we can regrow organs, launch spacecrafts that communicate back from billions of miles away. Scientists with Microsoft, they just discovered a brand new state of matter while developing quantum computer chips. That just happened. But when it comes to our trash, we're still doing the same thing that we did back in the Bronze Age. You dig a hole, you throw all the garbage in there, and then you just try not to live too close by. Sure, the landfill in South Wake uses plastic liners and gas vents and mist cannons and all that sort of stuff. But fundamentally, it's really the same strategy that we have used since the very first recorded landfill in Greece in 3000 BC. Think about how much stuff we all have, how much we buy and throw away. No other civilization has ever wasted more, and the statistics are insane. The clothing alone is mind-blowing. A study from 2021 found that 92 million tons of garments go into landfills every year. That equals one garbage truck full of clothes per second. On average, Americans toss about 80 pounds of clothes in the trash each year, and only 1% of that is ever recycled into new clothing. Don't get me started on plastic. The EPA says that nearly 20% of the landfills are made up of plastic. In 2018, researchers in the UK found that a whopping 91% of plastic just isn't recycled. Another report from Greenpeace thinks that number is closer to 95%. And even if you do recycle, it is very difficult to do it right. The rules are hard to follow. Let's do a quick pop quiz for you. All right, your coffee cup from Starbucks, can you recycle that? No, you cannot. That is trash. How about the red Solo cups and plastic forks from your cookout? Again, no. That too is trash. Those clamshell containers from the grocery store? Nope. Again, you can't recycle those either. That is trash. Now here's a tricky one. A bottle of laundry detergent. This is actually recyclable, except for the cap for some reason. Greasy pizza boxes, fast food wrappers, paper towels, coffee pods, anything styrofoam like egg cartons, all of it trash. You can't recycle it. It's confusing. And when you put the wrong stuff in the bin, it causes backups at the facility. It can make it more expensive, make the whole process more difficult. An EPA report from 2020 found that in some cities, 40% of the stuff that we toss in the blue bin is actually trash that can't really be recycled. They call it wish cycling. It all ends up in our landfills, which again, don't just stink. As we were saying, they're also filling up. As Willie said tonight, the Wake County landfill will be at capacity in the next 15 to 20 years, maybe faster as more and more people move here. We are currently throwing away 550,000 tons of trash a year there. They get 50 mattresses every single day. So if and when it does fill up, what do we do? Well, Willie laid out some of the options, and most of them haven't really changed that much since we invented the wheel. Dig that hole, fill it with trash, and just hope you don't live downwind. The only other option is that waste-to-energy facility where you burn garbage and can actually create electricity, which sounds really good. But it's not that simple, and it comes with a lot of other concerns, which is why there are only really a few dozen of them in the country. If you'd like to learn more about those, let me know. What else do you want to know about our waste and recycling systems? I really just scratched the surface here, obviously. I could keep going. They won't let me. Send me an email to dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
By the way, those Wake County recycling centers are amazing. If you haven't been to one, check them out. They're great. Hey, let's roll through some of today's big headlines. Here are 5 things that you should know right now. 2 death investigations are underway in Wake County tonight. Sky 5 over the scene of the one in Cary. Investigators found a body in the bushes at a shopping center on Kildare Farm Road. Officials say landscapers smelled a decomposing body and then found the person. What a grisly discovery. We're still waiting to learn the cause of death and the person's identity. Now, here's the other investigation, Sky 5 over this one on Canary Falls Lane in Raleigh. A body was found at an apartment complex there. Officers say they are not looking for any suspects. A Raleigh man is accused of taking a video of a woman in a Walmart bathroom stall. 27-year-old Sergio Aguilar Mendoza is being held on a $250,000 bond. The assistant DA tells us he asked for the woman's Snapchat, and when she said no, he followed her around the store and into the bathroom. Turns out the suspect has a history of sexually driven crime, including 3 assaults between 2020 and 2021. He's due back in court later this month.
Right now, Fayetteville city leaders are meeting to discuss next steps for the city's gunshot detection technology. The plan is to keep that so-called shot spotter technology for at least another year. This would cost $220,000. Fayetteville first started using that technology in December of 2022. Today, the State Board of Elections approved some new rules for voters with missing or mismatched voter information. About 81,000 people will have to vote with provisional ballots if their registrations are not updated before the election. Another 98,000 will be able to vote with regular ballots as part of a new guidance approved today. The state is working on notifying these specific voters about the change. So the Tar Heels are back in the national spotlight. Can't be any worse than last time, I don't think.
Even if they lose the game, though, UNC is winning in one important way. With money. The program is bringing in millions of dollars. We wanted to investigate how much and where it's going. We got some answers, and we're talking about it at Murph's Turf. That's next.
Here's a classic essay prompt at the start of the school year. What did you do over summer vacation? A student from Raleigh has a great answer, and it's our one last thing tonight. Kat?
And if you're an early riser, you may want long sleeves tomorrow morning. It'll be cool and crisp. I'll let you know where you could wake up to temperatures in the 40s, though, coming up.
Before we go to break, let's look ahead at some of the news stories we're watching for you this week. We're just talking about him tomorrow. Bill Belichick will take questions about what's next for UNC's football team. The Heels narrowly beating Charlotte over the weekend. Yeah, it was a decent spread, but for Charlotte to UNC. So Richmond is up next, and then UCF after that.
Also tomorrow, Apple will unveil the new iPhone. How many have there been now, right? There are 2 versions, the 17 and something new called the iPhone Air. On Thursday, August inflation numbers come out. Forecasters project a slightly higher number than what we saw in July. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. UNC's football team is going to be back on national TV in a couple of weeks. Their game against UCF on September 20th will be on Fox. You know, it's quite the stage for a team that got pretty destroyed by TCU and narrowly beat Charlotte. But that's the Bill Belichick effect for you. This isn't all about winning football games, although, of course, that's important. This is about money. I worked with WRAL investigative sports reporter Brian Murphy for weeks now to figure out just how much money is coming into UNC's program and where it's going and the bigger stakes here. Let's head to Murph's Turf. Murph, thank you so much for helping me crunch the numbers, see the bigger picture of what's going on with the UNC football program and the athletics department at large. Now UNC football is going to get another nationally televised game later this month, all part of the bigger picture to get more money for this team.
Yeah, the Bill Belichick effect, right? That's part of the reason that UNC hired him, or a lot of the reason that UNC hired him. They need to grow revenue in football. They need to make football a bigger brand than it is, and it's already working. Another nationally televised game, which means more money from the ACC's viewership distribution model that went into effect this year. good timing for hiring a coach like Bill Belichick.
Right. The more eyeballs on the game, the more money that goes into UNC football.
Right, and that's true from both a television standpoint, but also in the stadium, as we saw for the opener against TCU. Sold out crowd, premium seats are sold at a higher level, higher ticket prices. All of this is generating more and more revenue for the athletic department as a whole and for football.
They even had to create a new seating area, the Keenan Skybox, but ticket sales just part of the equation. They have to really build the pie, grow the pie in all of the different buckets that they get revenue from.
Yeah, there's primarily 4 areas. Ticket sales, which is a big one. Donations, and the more people are excited about the program, the more they're going to give money to the program. We've seen donations go up at UNC since Belichick was hired. And then media rights, and we talked about that, right? The ACC is now distributing more money based on viewership. That will help their media rights.
What's the bigger picture here, though? When we think about UNC, a lot of people think that it's a basketball school, not a football school. But when you actually look at the balance sheet, UNC football is making more money than basketball, and that's not unique to this school.
And it's not really close. I mean, a lot of this is because the money that they get from the ACC, UNC attributes the majority of that to football. It was maybe 20 years ago, basketball was pretty even with football when it came to that television money. Now it's all football, as you can tell by games being on every night of the week. Football is driving all of this. And that's not just true at Carolina. That's true at NC State. It's true at a basketball powerhouse like Kansas. It's true across the country. When people say that's a basketball school, there are no basketball schools. Every school is a football school. They may have a very good basketball program, but everyone is a football school.
And what's at stake here with Belichick? 5 years, $50 million. What does success look like in your mind?
I think success is growing that pie, but it's also elevating the brand to where if the SEC or the Big Ten comes looking for another member, that North Carolina's football program isn't a drag on it, right? We've got a huge growing population. We're the biggest state that's not represented in the Big Ten or the SEC. Carolina has a national brand. Its football program cannot be a drag on its case to get into one of these conferences. I think that's a lot of what was behind the hire of Bill Belichick.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks again for all your help crunching the numbers.
Thank you.
Football, basketball, let's not forget about baseball. We have some great weather for the Durham Bulls and a couple of home games coming up.
It's the last round, our last home stand in Durham, and the weather is phenomenal for it this week. 73 for the first pitch tomorrow, 75 on Wednesday, and Thursday is Bark in the Park. It is all for a good cause for your furry friends. They can come out to the ball game as well. 77 on Thursday for the first pitch at 6:35 as well. Just a heads up, if you're sneezing a little extra lately, it is ragweed season. Weed pollen typically goes up this time of year, and we are seeing that begin. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now. We're in the moderate category for weed pollen, and that's due to ragweed. If you look at how much rain we could see over the next 5 days to wash that away and out of the air, it's pretty much none. No measurable rain would be expected. Closer to the coastal plain, some sprinkles will be possible, and the coast has the best chance of seeing some rain. For us here locally, believe it or not, after that time period we went through flooding rains in July and early August, we're looking at below normal rainfall. We're in that time period where we really could use some rain. All the areas in orange showing below normal rainfall, yellow as well, the exception in the Sandhills there for the past 30 days. And we just don't have much rain in the forecast this week. High pressure is building in. Wrapping around it, you've got a clockwise wind, and that's why we've got a wind out of the northeast, pushing in some of this cooler air. It's the front offshore that's stalled. It's really not moving much, and that's where the bulk of the rain should stay, would be offshore for us. Good news, though, for you on your Monday. Aside from a beautiful week ahead, it is the peak of hurricane season, and we have no new tropical development expected for the next week. Phenomenal news there. Tomorrow morning, as kids are heading to school, they may need long sleeves or briefly an extra layer. During the afternoon, it is still likely to be t-shirt weather, especially because of the sunshine. 45 in Roxborough, though, 52 in Durham, 55 Raleigh, 53 Rocky Mount, 56 Goldsboro, and 55 in Fayetteville. A little chilly tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, 76 degrees the high. Just a beautiful day, mostly sunny skies. Early on, we'll see partly cloudy skies for the afternoon. And then we warm up a little bit by the end of the work week. 82 Thursday, 85 Friday. It will still be in the upper 50s those nights, so the humidity will stay low for us. and it stays nice and comfortable. Saturday, just a 20% chance for rain. High temperatures this time of year, what's normal is mid-80s. So we'll be on par Friday and Monday, those warmer days.
All right, I like it. Thank you, Kat. One last thing tonight, a 1,200-mile journey that will make for a great first day of school essay. What did you do this summer? Olivia Bledsoe went on a trip of a lifetime. That story after the break. One last thing, students are very much back in class, and we know one of the very first things that they'll talk about with friends and teachers, or maybe even write one of those first assignments. What did you do this summer?
A college student from our area has a great story to tell. Olivia Bledsoe from Raleigh, she goes to Virginia Tech, and this summer she was on an all-female crew that completed a 1,200-mile journey paddling from Lake Superior in Minnesota to Hudson Bay in Canada.
They saw wolves, moose, seals, even traveled through polar bear territory, and they had a lot of gear to carry with them, but the most challenging part was the weather, not just storms, but wildfires.
The uncertainty that we had in the last half of the trip, not knowing if we would even be allowed to continue because of the fire season, was definitely a really heavy mental weight. And there are times when all we could manage were just to take like 3 steps uphill because our packs weighed 115 pounds. That was definitely a very, very strenuous day.
Wow. Olivia told us that she hopes this trip is an inspiration to little girls who dream of doing something adventurous during their summer break.
To us, I would just say it really speaks to our spirit of adventure and our desire to show people that if you want to accomplish something, there's truly like nothing you can't do in the outdoors.
Great videos and pictures as well. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and back here on WRAL tonight at 11. Have a great night.